Day 37, parenting. I just came from a christening of the son of a friend. And so I thought, well, actually, parenting would be a great topic to talk about. And that's why I'm also dressed like this. I'm not much in suits anymore these days. But anyway, and I lost so much weight that you can see even my more formal clothes don't fit me properly anymore. Anyway, that's a topic for another video on nutrition. Parenting, in the context of all what I talk about, we are what we believe, and we become our beliefs. That becomes our identity, that becomes our life, and that we have full control of our beliefs. Well, but it all starts, where do these beliefs come from? And they come from what we are taught to believe. And who teaches us these things? Our parents. And so if you are a parent, or about thinking about becoming a parent, or about to become a parent, it's crucial to think about what you're teaching our children. And while so much, again, I'm not a parent, and you're gonna love, well, how can you give us parenting advice if not a parent? Well, actually, I think by going deep into topics, you can actually see truth about a lot of things, especially when you're removed from the actual occasion. You're, so to speak, an outsider, and you look at things and just observe. And actually, what I'm going to talk about is not just applicable to parenting, it's more the larger of how we build our belief systems, how we perceive the world. So anyway, beliefs are incepted on the very early stages. Actually, science shows that the earlier we go back, that has the biggest impact, and it kind of also makes sense on who we are and who we become. So in the state that you are as a mom while you're carrying your child, so even before you give birth, that will influence the kind of state of that the child comes into the world with, right? So if you're constantly stressed and worried, etc., that kind of trickles down, and there's actually biochemical processes that have been discovered that actually there's a communication between your mind and your state of the body and the child. So if you're a parent, if you're a mom, you want to carry your child in the best state possible. So don't be stressed, don't be worried, etc. Just, be happy in life, and then you're probably gonna hugely influence the happiness of your child, and thereby the quality of its life. And so now post-birth, how you, like these moments, they constantly impact the whole development of the brain and how the child reacts. Like children have some innate abilities, right? Like how to breathe, and then the eyes are developing and the senses, but everything else is being learned by observing. So, and that actually applies to most animals, if not all. So learning how to walk, children look at people or other children that are already more advanced, and that's where they copy from. So whatever you show to your children, you say to your children, will influence who they become. And I think parenting is so much focused in a way of keeping the environment germ-free, making sure your child is set up for success professionally and is going to perform. And it's too little focused on the beliefs, your own maybe limiting beliefs that you're impressing on the child, consciously or subconsciously. And I think the best preparation you can do, the biggest favor you can do your child is to kind of open their eyes and to question things, to ask why. And when they ask why, don't tell them that's how it is, but rather explain it. And if you're lacking an explanation, then maybe you should question your own belief system. So I think a child can also be a beautiful mirror, and I think that's what parents experience, when children question things in a kind of very, beautifully, naively way, but actually in a very powerful way. It's actually not naive. They ask the right questions, the questions we stopped asking. So don't suppress these questions, but rather start asking yourself. When your child is like, oh, Dad, why are you getting up every morning to go to work? Why are you? And I'm sure there's a good reason, right? You're earning money, etc. Maybe there's other ways how you can do that. So on all different levels, kind of on the mundane level, but also on the fundamental, existential level, you can just ask yourself. So not only do you want to engage with the questions they ask and reflect yourself, and you don't want to suppress them, but you also want them to create an open mind about the possibilities in life, and that whatever comes your way, you can deal with and kind of try to make the best out of it. Actually, not try, make the best out of it, because the cards you're dealt every day, you can't control, but you can control how you play with those cards. And what I mean is, every day you wake up, there's a new day and something might happen. Someone might die in your life. You might have an accident. You might get fired. You might lose your money. these are all seemingly bad things, but you can turn them into an opportunity. The most amazing things have been created out of the most dreadful circumstances. Some of the strongest companies have developed in the most adverse economic circumstances. So adversity and challenges is where all the growth lies. And so the best thing you can teach yourself, and as a result, obviously your child, because the earlier we learn that, the more deeply ingrained it is to kind of come with an open mind, question things, and then face whatever comes your way and tackle it, with action rather than with like, oh my God, why always does this happen to me? So it's incredible how powerful your impact is and in your everyday behavior. So you kind of really have to challenge yourself. And I think it's a huge responsibility these days to become a child, because you can either be the parent that creates the next Trump. And I don't want to make a political statement here, but Trump is a deeply insecure and also deeply unhappy person. And that's why, a person that constantly has to reiterate how great they are and how much love they are, that's an expression of they need to tell themselves that, and they need to tell the world that, because that's not how they feel. Someone that is deeply loved and is, appreciated by everyone doesn't have to tell people, because first of all, he or she doesn't need it, because that's how they feel already. And also, the people know it, right? They're expressing it constantly in their love and affection and appreciation. So, you might create the next political leader that will either start a war or create peace everywhere. And so that's the responsibility really you have as a parent. And not only do you have a responsibility how your child will show up in the world and influence the trajectory and the path of the world, but that also is exactly mirrored by their own feeling, right? They create havoc because they're not in a good place, because they didn't have good parents, because they didn't receive enough love and compassion and all of that. And that don't mean you have to be a cushy parent and like accept everything, but it's to treat them with love. I think this is the key. The answer to all the bad things in the world is love. Love, not just in the romantic sense, but in the compassion sense. And the opposite is fear. And that's what all our adversity is born out of fear. Fear of not being enough, fear of being rejected, fear of failure, all of these fears. So you want to imprint and train your child that love is abundant and is available, and that they can create whatever world they want to create, and it's full of possibilities. And no matter what life hits them with, they can deal with it and can turn an adverse circumstance into an opportunity. And by doing just these things, I think you set your child up for the best life possible. And that just applies as much to you, just as a parent. You have the opportunity to imprint that on your child and teach that to your child very early on. And it's not about being unrealistic about life. Life will come with full of challenges, no doubt. And your child will learn that in turn very quickly once it's out in the environment. But you should give your child a support system that has the belief that you can turn whatever comes your way, because whatever comes your way, into an opportunity, into making the best of it, that even when bad stuff happens, there's a silver lining that creates an opportunity. Scarcity is a door to abundance. Like if you haven't received any love, that can go both ways, right? It can put someone into a deep depression and like pulling back from the world, or it can be the most loving person. But you want to set your child up that it can basically give to the world, that it is open to receive, that is vulnerable, that is curious, vulnerable in a positive sense, right? Open to criticism, that it has the self-confidence to show up in the world, no matter what the world throws at them. All the things I talk about in the videos, you can set your child up to have that from birth, and they don't have to work hard at it because you give it to them. And so that's the biggest gift and the biggest responsibility at the same time in my belief, you can do for your child is like giving them the right mindset, the right belief system to kind of see, all the possibilities that unfold and make the most of it. And if you do that, if you take up that challenge, and I know it's challenging because you have to challenge your own belief system, then life will never be the same for you, and especially for your child.